Welcome back, everybody. Today we've got a fun one. We're looking at Joro spiders. Not sure how well you can see her. I'll see if I can get it to focus, and I'll throw up some other clips here. But this is a juvenile female Joro spider. These guys are native to coastal Asia. So you've got China, Japan, Vietnam, Korea, and we now have them in the United States. No one's exactly sure how they got here, but best guess is it probably came in on a shipping container, plane, some type of cargo. That's how most of these things end up happening. But the center of their population seems to be North Georgia. So we're guessing that's probably where they started out. And now they've kind of shifted, and they are in South Carolina, where we are right now. They are also in North Carolina, Tennessee, and have made it further up the coast as well. If you've ever seen Charlotte's Web at the end where the babies put out their strands and then they fly away, that's how these guys really spread. Once they get into an area, she'll just have this web, which is pretty significant, even though she's a juvenile, and they will just stay there for their life, which is usually about a year, 8 to 10 months to a year, give or take. Obviously, accepting predation by birds and other animals. If you see one of these really pretty big ones like this, it's always going to be the female. The males, similar to like a black widow and a lot of other spider species, are much smaller. She's going to get up. She's probably 3 inches from tip to tip on her legs right now. Whenever she's fully grown, she will be close to, I don't know, I would say closer to 5 inches or 6 inches across, like fully as big as my hand. And the body would get significantly bigger as well. They'll be eating insects like most spiders do. All spiders are venomous. People ask, can these hurt me? These aren't going to be any worse than a bee sting or, most spider bites. They're not particularly dangerous to humans. But when someone asks you, is a spider venomous? The answer is always going to be yes. They practice what's called external digestion, which means they will bite their prey, wrap it up, and then let that venom take effect. And what it does is it breaks down all of the internal organs and things inside of its prey, and then it just drinks it out. So that's called external digestion. We chew our food and digest it internally. They excrete their digestive fluids and then drink it up kind of like a little bug milkshake after the fact. But they're not particularly dangerous, like I said. They have a much more haphazard web than most of our orb weavers that you'll see that we have that are native. So if you see one and you're like, hey, is that a Joro spider or is it an orb weaver? If the web is all in one plane, then it's probably an orb weaver, and they'll have that little zigzag line down it so that birds see it and don't fly into it. I would say in September, October, they'll be about as big as they can, and maybe we'll come back and do an update on this girl if she's still alive. They are predated on by birds. With a lot of invasive species, you worry about things like the impact that they have on native species. And these guys don't really seem to have too big of an impact outside of what normal spiders would do. So that's good. They've done some studies that I was reading last night that said primarily they did a study going around and checking webs. Most of what they found that had been eaten and wrapped up were hymenopterans, which are like wasps, bees, things like that. Some people were worried that they might be eating the monarchs and other types of butterflies, but they actually, interestingly enough, the monarchs were expelled from the web more often than not. They studied and they said, hey, we're going to throw these butterflies on here to see what happens. And only 20% of the time that a monarch got on the web would they actually eat it. The rest of the time they would either ignore it, or in several cases they actually went through and snipped off that bit of the web and dropped the butterfly. Monarchs being toxic, eating milkweed, we're not exactly sure because they obviously hadn't bitten that particular one in the study that was done, but they're not sure if it was able to sense it, smell it, if it was a visual cue or what. But there are other orange butterflies they would eat readily, so it's kind of neat. These guys will have 500 to 1,500 babies, give or take, I think. That's probably dependent on how healthy the female is. time of reproduction, how many eggs she's able to actually produce. These guys are pretty much going to be with us forever at this point. They're established. They're not particularly dangerous. Like I said, you don't have to worry about them. You're more likely to hurt yourself trying to get away walking through the web whenever you see one of these girls. But like I said, I can just touch her and I'm not worried about being bit particularly. Fun story about that with a tarantula back in the day, but I'll save that one for another time. I'd like to thank my friend Ginger, who texted me about this and let me come to her house to video. And maybe we'll be able to come back, like I said, and do a follow-up, see how big she gets. And until next time, y'all be looking.